Batman live stream. Welcome to the 3rd annual Batman live stream. I know we've got some guests tonight, so we've got this lovely bloke right here.
Hello.
We've got this lovely bloke right here.
Hello.
We've got this lovely bloke right here. And
Hello.
we've got this lovely bloke right here. Unfortunately, Chris can't make it. Scott can't make it, but I think PGM's going to come on in his side, and I think G-Force might come on as well. So, welcome to the 3rd annual Batman stream. It's great that we do this every year, and I know nothing about Batman.
Yeah, you think you spend a year like refreshing and getting to know stuff. So when it comes to the Batman stream at Christmas, you'd know loads.
I know that he's a detective, and I know he's sidekicks Robin and all that sort of stuff, and Batmobile. So I've got that, but it's like you lot going to you go into like deep lore with it, don't you? You actually love this stuff.
I have blamed it on our dad, Mark. It's the only good memory I've had from my dad, where it's like it would be 6:30 in the morning, and he'd always come and wake us up to go and watch Batman. Always, he'd never miss it. Come on, Batman's on. So we'd go downstairs and we'd watch like Batman '66 at 6 in the morning, like before everything started. And it's one thing my dad never let me miss. So I was always happy with that.
All imposters. Tez is the real Batman. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So Des is here. Up to 25 people already. Hi everyone. Nice to see you all. Des, I'm Batman. No, I'm Batman. No, I'm Batman.
I think PGM told us the other night in the chat that he was Batman.
Yeah,
so I'm sticking with that one.
Well, I don't know, because Keith Knight's just said he's Batman and so is his wife.
We need to get a list going here. Too many Batman.
Travels with Jason. Yeah, you're right. Travels with Jason. Our Op is here. Our Ops. Mr. Fuller's here. I'm the biggest Batman fan ever. I love how he flies around New York and he can turn into a vice. That's what I would probably do, honestly. You know? Well, you've got questions to that and stuff, haven't you, Si? You're going to take this over, aren't you? So
just a few questions, really. But I think just kickstart it off. My first question would be, what did you think of the Penguin? And did you think it was a good enough follow-up so far to the Batman? I'll ask everybody first, so I'll ask you, Mark, first. What did you think of that? And does it make you look more forward, like after it? Are you more looking forward now to the Batman 2? Because even though I love the Batman 1, the Penguin show has got me that excited. I can't wait for Batman 2 now.
So that's it right there. I absolutely, I've got to admit, I loved it, to be honest. And like I said, I'm not necessarily your biggest DC fan, but I think what this is for me, it was the story. The story was perfect. And the way they did it as well, this is my opinion, the way they did it, you didn't have to be a massive Batman fan to watch this. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I love the way it started when it was like the end of the Batman movie. It went straight into it about what happened and so forth. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was superb. I thought it was dark. I thought it was gritty. But it's funny as well because you all talk about us lot like, we're not female empowered and we don't like this. This was written, directed, and showrunner by women. You know what I mean? And we all absolutely loved it. Didn't come into it at all. So yeah, I thought it was great. Loved it.
About you, Stu?
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. As soon as that first scene on screen with the Penguin looking out the window and the news reels going back about what's happened with the bridge and the river and stuff like that, I just thought it was absolutely quality. Fantastically written, fantastically acted. Gotham was what you expected it to be. They stayed true to the characters, and the story was just insanely good. I think it's probably the best thing that I've watched so far this year.
Yeah, for me, before I asked Jono, a highlight for me was like being a Batman fan my entire life and knowing that the Penguin's a piece of work, is that they kept him a piece of work in this. That if you went back to the show now and watched it from the beginning, he is not a nice guy from show one at all. There's nothing that you should get behind or any qualities in him where you want him to win. And that's what I absolutely loved, because normally in DC, when they come out on the movies or the TV shows, there's a sort of twist like the first Suicide Squad where they try and make the bad villains sort of the good guys. And I never got that from the Penguin. He was just a nasty shit from show one all the way through. Do you know what I mean?
There was things to that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No,
what we say?
Carry on, Stu.
Yeah, what we
I was going to say that there were times in the show with the Penguin when you thought, okay, this bloke, he's got a bit of a heart. But then that scene at the end, it just took you right back to
Yeah.
why he was such a shit and a nasty character, and he's just a nasty person. It brought you right back in.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Yeah.
Did you not get a sense he was going to do that? Because I did. As soon as he got hold of him, come here, lad. I
Yeah.
thought he had had
Yeah.
it. It's like
I
he's
didn't see
using
the
his
build
first
up to it.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see the build up to it, but when he got hold of him and stuff like that, and he started talking, he thought, "Here we go, he's gone."
Yeah.
Let's do that.
About you, Jono, what did you think of the Penguin?
Oh, best TV show this year. Actually, best TV show in the last couple of years, to be fair. Like you said, the show was just amazing. The way that I felt that he played, the writers played the audience as well. The way like Oz played everybody. Like you knew he was a scumbag. Everyone knew he was a scumbag, but they kept trusting him. And they built up the whole tension of like, who are you going to root for? Is it going to be Oz or is it going to be Sophia? And then at the end, and you realize that no, this guy's a monster. This guy is a proper out and out monster. And even the closing scene with his mom and
yeah,
the
that was
way
great.
what
Got
happens
his
to her, I
girlfriend
won't
to wear his
spoil it
own
for
stuff.
anyone, but that closing scene, and you know,
It was super dark,
yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Like super
and
Gotham-y,
regarding
like,
being excited for Batman 2, it's like, give me more of this stuff. Definitely give me more of this stuff.
You got like a Tony Soprano vibe off him.
Right from the
Because
start.
He did.
Right from the start.
if you remember, they did the same way with Sopranos. They give you a couple of scenes in episodes where you start to, and then he do something to make the audience realize what a bastard this guy is. Do you know what I mean? He's not all there, you know.
Yeah, very much like that, Mark. Yeah.
I felt the same way as this, where you know, I had that feeling, especially at the end when he put his arm around that young kid. I thought, oh, that's it. He's a gunner. But it's so well written. You kind of got it as well up here, like. He's you know, now he's taken over, and I just love the part where all the second in command took over. That was a great storyline. The way they took. This? Can I ask you all a question? Is this based on a comic? This, or is it a completely new story?
It's loosely based on the Long Halloween and Dark Victory. That's what it's loosely based on. So if you read them two graphic novels, you get a lot more the flavour of the mafia families as well as Sophia. Sophia in them comic books, there's a lot of liberties he's taken. In the comic book, she's a big hulking woman, and she can crush men's heads with her bare hands. She's a big woman. Do you know what I mean? And she's a bit off her head. Yeah. But again, Dave,
I really like that
question.
I really love that twist, Sophia, that she was actually up to a point, the one innocent and all of that. Like she genuinely did nothing wrong until her old man locked her away in Arkham, and then that turned her into a psycho. And then everyone was just out to get her after that, even when she just wanted to walk away and wanted nothing to do with anything.
Well, that's it, because you had two really nasty pieces of work in this whole show. They were both nasty and crazy with each other. And again, like Sophia ended up in Arkham at the end, there was nobody you rooted for like a hero, like you wanted them to win. If she got it, you'd say, yeah, brilliant. If the Penguin got it, you'd say, yeah, brilliant. You know, but they both got away with it in a sense, didn't they? What was, you know, everything that was building up to it.
DTM, what did you think of this character?
She was outstanding as an actress as well. Outstanding. Yeah. The character, she was a complete nut job, but she played it so well. And the Arkham episode that mostly featured her all the way through, it was just unlike any bit of TV I've seen since Breaking Bad. It was just that good. Yeah. It reminded me, Penguin, of a bit of grown-up Gotham with some Sopranos thrown in. If you get what I mean.
That's exactly what I got, DTM, exactly the same way. Have you ever seen her in anything else, PGM, or just this?
No, because actually I'm out of the loop on this discussion.
You never saw the Penguin?
I've seen the Penguin.
You've not seen the Penguin?
No, I haven't seen the Penguin, so I'm out of the loop. So I'll probably be listening to you if you're talking about the Penguin, because
it might have ruined the ending. I'm not sure.
Basically, the talk of the Penguin is just because it's the latest thing that's so far of the Gotham world, and you know, so we're talking other shows on it and stuff. But all I can
say about it is when Colin Farrell got the part, he hit himself into the Penguin. Right?
I mean, look at that.
That is just crazy.
I think he said once, "This is the best work I've ever done."
Yeah.
So,
He did
I would
such a
agree
good
with
job,
that,
though.
though. You know, if this was on the cinema, would this be considered an Oscar-worthy role? I would say so.
Yeah.
Because how many times did you have to keep telling yourself, "Hang on, that's Colin Farrell"?
Well, I was
you must
convinced
do.
after a while of watching him. I was convinced he was a completely different actor. He was just this.
Well, he was. Hang on a minute.
horrible
Was he not nominated for the Batman playing this role
I don't know.
when he was in the movie?
No, I don't think so.
Because
Was
I've got to admit, I was taken aback when I saw the actual film of him like this.
Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because you can kind of separate yourself. You know, when you've got a very popular, you know, someone like Colin Farrell that everybody knows, but his face was, you didn't think it was him after a while. And maybe that's a testament to what a great job he did, because you just couldn't tell it was Colin Farrell. You know, it was amazing.
Jim, let me ask you, because you've been on movie sets, Pete. When you wear prosthetics, so you're wearing an outfit or a costume ready for that part, does it sort of like overtake you? Do you get more into that role because of how you look and how you dressed?
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Talking about costumes, Emperor, I was wearing an American non-commissioned officer uniform. So you stand like a private in the American Army, right? Or I had prosthetic legs on The Hobbit, right? One of my deleted scenes, and yeah, I did. Yeah, it felt really weird.
Sorry, mate. Sorry for some reason. I apologize. It just made me laugh. Right, go on, carry on. Sorry.
It does. It feels weird. It sounds weird, but I was wearing it. It felt like two big, large rubber condoms on 2 feet. Right?
I know that feeling.
I bet you do. But you do find a character, right? Within you're doing as an extra, as to an actor as well. So, because you're in a scene, right? So you have to find that storyline within what you're portraying. So
that's it. When an actor puts that Batman outfit on, he must feel more. I'm Batman. Yeah. It looks like it becomes like must overtake you.
We watched Star Wars. We're big Star Wars fans, and it's not been the most easiest ride, has it, for the past 8-9 years? You know what I mean?
Star Wars fan.
I know. So you're kind of like, oh, this is all right. This is good. But I think for you lot, especially you 5 being big DC fans, it seems like everyone. I've yet to hear a negative review about this show. I've yet to hear somebody say they don't like it ever. So, I mean, when you watch stuff like this as DC fans, are you like, this is exactly what you wanted, or was there anything you didn't like about it? Anybody?
No, I thought.
For me, the one thing I didn't like is his name was Oz Cobb. Now, in this show, you can understand why they didn't call him Cobblepot, because it wouldn't have been. But I would have preferred Oswald Cobblepot. I'm old school, so that's the only niggle I have. The only one.
Did you change his name from the film? They called Cobblepot in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember.
He was in Batman. He was in Batman Returns. I remember that Oswald Cobblepot.
I'm not sure. In Batman Returns, he was. Yeah.
Hey, Dothrock. Hey, pal. Nice to see you.
But as far as his role in the first Batman, in Matt Reeves' Batman, I don't know if he was Oswald Cobblepot.
Yeah, I think they just call him Oz.
Yeah. Oz. One of the nicest things about this show as well, boys, is the supporting cast. The woman who played the mother and the young lad who played the young Oz, and I was blown away by them all, to be honest. I mean, everyone played
all the way through. It was superb, wasn't it? Everybody played their part, from main characters to supporting cast. They really did truly believe in their character and what they
were. Some awards coming their way, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, Stu, what did you think of the kid that played the young Penguin? How good was he? He looked more like the Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
He looked more like a young Shabby, to be honest.
You hear a lot of negativity about child actors, don't you? You know, they were a bit wood and they weren't very good. But this guy was just...
Yeah, well, good.
He was superb. I mean, what a turd he was, wasn't he? At a very young age, he was just and you could believe that he actually grew up to be Colin Farrell's Penguin. Do you know what I mean? He was that good. He was I couldn't fault him. He was absolutely fantastic. What a great little actor.
Yeah, such a sinister little shit, wasn't he? He really was. A little bastard. Yeah, brilliant though for it. And that's one of the highlights of this show for me, that villains stayed villains. Do you know what I mean? None of them were nice people. They were a piece of work. This is a story of one of them, and that's what I love that. Because I think if they'd stopped him up, they killed the fables of the Penguin. The Penguin is a piece of work. You know, that's the only thing he's got against him, really. That he's a right shit. And nothing goes through Gotham without going through the Penguin, and that's what makes him a real big deal to the Batman. Do you know what I mean? The Penguin can command armies anytime he wants, anything like that. And so I just love the way that they sort of kept that character. And the last scene for me, when he's dressed in the first appearance of the original Penguin outfit, even down to the gold waist, I was like, honestly, lads, I won't say any lies. I get proper choked up at my age now. And when I saw that scene, and then I saw that Batman logo flash up, I'm sat here like, honestly, I'm getting.
As you go through your menstrual cycle, that's I'm
getting terrible for it. I really am for it.
Menstrual cycles are probably going into sync. I never seen it, so yeah, I'm excluded with that.
Well, the thing is, PGM, I think you've heard enough of this show to say that it's something you'd like to get round to see. How many times do you hear people saying, "Oh, that was crap. That it was no good."
I mean, I haven't got Neon yet, which is HBO for you guys.
Yeah.
But I will be heading back to Neon because I really want to see Creature Commandos as well as the Penguin.
Yeah.
So,
So,
I'm looking forward to actually seeing the Penguin because it does correlate to Batman 2, and it's got that same grittiness of Batman, so it forms that line, which I'm quite looking forward to that. So,
Jono, he's a bit behind our Kev. Can you just explain to Jono? I mean, Kev, what we're talking about? Kev's been here 20 minutes. Like, what are we talking about? The Penguin.
Thanks for coming, Kev.
Before we move on from this, let me ask you all, what stood out on this TV show? Well, Stu, what stood out for you? What was the thing that you thought, they've got this perfect?
The writing, the
writing.
story.
Same as me.
It was just absolutely spot on. I mean, you have Sophia. I mean, I didn't know anything about this character. I knew the Falcones, but I didn't know that deep that he had like the kids and stuff like that. So when you see her in Arkham, and then she comes out and, like you say, she's innocent, and then they do full circle and she ends back up in there. I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. You know, when they're standing down by the docks and she goes, "Go on," and he goes, "No, you're going to hell." And you knew exactly what was going to happen then. The old lights come on, the police come in, she's going back to Arkham. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely love that bit. You just thought, you poor cow.
Yeah. Jono, what about you?
Again, I have to agree with Stu that just the writing alone, it was just perfect. You know, everyone felt real, nothing felt forced. The characters all just felt alive in the world, so to speak. Yeah. And every episode, I was left kind of going, what's going to happen next? I hadn't got a clue what they were going to do next, up until the later episodes when a certain individual gets kidnapped by Sophia, and then you know where it's leading then. But up until then, I hadn't got a clue what the next episode was going to be about.
Just before I ask you, it's one of those things, it brings everything. It's like the part for me was when he killed his brothers. When he that was and it was done like a Spielberg Jaws kind of thing. And what I mean by that, you didn't see anything. You just saw this door within here in the water, and you were like that. Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I think like Dave as well and a few others, when you grew up with brothers and you've got more than two of them, you like that, aren't you? You couldn't, even though you scrap and you fight to IO with your brothers, you die for them. And I think watching some kid do that to his brothers and letting them die like that, you're just like, you horrible little bastard. You know what I mean? You're like, But again, that's what I liked about his character, that he could sell soul. He was so self-centered. Even with his mum, he couldn't have anybody share his mother or anything. Everything was, the way he wanted it. And it right to the end, brilliant.
It was nice at the end.
When you finally see them and how they're portrayed, and they're just dripping with water non-stop. It's just so cool. Like, so cool.
The ending to me was just a proper Gotham City psycho mental case, because even though his mother, he said from the very beginning, I'm going to show you, you can have the penthouse, the overlooking view of Gotham City. But when she gets that, look what it's cost to her. And she even stabs him with that bottle and everything. Like, she can't stand this. And then she ends up vegetizing. She's just looking out that window and she can't move. And I just thought that is so perfect for Gotham City. That's just so like you'd hate it to happen to you, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
Would you? It was funny because I said to our Simon, and this is when you know I'm not as big as a DC fan as you lot. It doesn't really feel like a Batman to me. There's no elements of it, but apparently I've missed loads of stuff. There was characters in it, there was scenes in it, there was little things and stuff. So did you feel it was a Batman show without Batman? And let me also ask you, do you think it worked without Batman being in it? So I'll start with you, DTM. I'll start with you.
I thought it did work without Batman being in it because it was the Penguin show, so it needed to show him being as nasty and as badass as he could possibly be. When Batman does come back, right then, lad, well, I'll be having a word with you now. You've been
I did
think it worked better without the Batman. Although I wouldn't have minded seeing him, but I'm glad he didn't show up.
I like the way they did it, just the signal. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I thought that was cool. The reason I asked this, guys, is, and PGM, I know you haven't seen it, but you can answer this for me. Sometimes you'll see something like those Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man or other things, and they don't work as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's like a couple of the CW shows.
They were going to actually put Batman on a TV screen.
Right.
Right. So to actually say, Batman, where is Batman? But they were going to actually, that's what they were asking the question. People were saying, where is Batman? He should be at least shown. But I think they did it justice by just actually showing the Batman sign. So
because he built up in his whole show that he was a nasty guy. And like I said, he was no nice guy at all. But the very end reminded you where this guy lives. So no matter how big he's going to become or how much he thinks he's going to be, there's one guy that's always going to continuously stop him. And I just love that touch at the end where, for me, you didn't need Batman in this show. I'm like Dave, it was the Penguin show. He was watching the build-up of the Penguin. Yeah. To build up nice for this Matt Reeves' universe. And you know what? I'm so happy that when James Gunn came in and he was asked the question about the Joker and about Matt Reeves' Batman, what are you going to do with them? You're in charge now. And he said, I'm leaving them to as they are. So, you know, we still will get a Joker 3 and the Batman stays as it is. And I thought that was such a great move because obviously those at Warner Brothers saw all this and thought, this is excellent stuff. Can't wait to make it, you know.
Connor says he thought it was justified doing that to his brothers as they were all Everton fans. I'll tell you what,
harsh, Connor.
A bit harsh. So let me ask Stu and Jono, you're the two haven't answered it yet. What do you think? Did it work without the Batman? Did you want Batman in it or?
No, I didn't. I'm glad they didn't because I feel if they had put Batman in it, it would have kind of done exactly the same thing that the Mandalorian did in the Book of Boba Fett, which is devalue the character. This was predominantly and basically about the Penguin, and that's what we got. Right, we know where he lives, and like Si said, at the end, it's just a subtle reminder of where he is with that bat signal, and I think that was perfect. You knew he was in Gotham because you got the Falcones, you got the Maronis. You knew where he was, but I don't think Batman was needed.
Got you. No. Right. All right. Jono?
Same. No need for Batman in the show. The show pretty much opened with that sequence of him leading the people out when he has the red flare, and it ended with the bat symbol, like being shone into the sky. So that was enough. Yeah. Everything else was about the Penguin, was about Sophia, and like the whole show only is kind of took part over a couple of days, like a week, 2 weeks max. So yeah, it was grand. No need for him.
I know this was written. I watched their thing on HBO, like the behind the scenes kind of thing. Oh, by the way, GeForce, there's a link in your Instagram if you want to come on. I sent you a link before. But what I was saying was the behind the scenes, and this was written as a one-off. This was written as this was it. That was it. And then I think Colin Farrell also came out and said, yeah, he's going to do this and so on. Do you think there should be a season 2? Do you think it should carry on, or would you like it? Because I'm like you in a way. I'm like, I think you should stop here because it was perfect.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then move on to like another villain, do the same type of thing, but and then incorporate. I think Carsai said something like incorporate them in the movies, if you will. But what do you think to that?
Well, I think we should leave it as that series alone, but then obviously pop back in like another, like you say, another villain series or another set of movies Just have them come back, cause a bit of chaos, just to let you know that they're still there. But I think the Penguin is that first series and should be the only series like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's. What about you, Si?
I think looking at the Joker 1, and then you look at the laughable of what everyone thinks of the Joker 2, leave it as this one. It was perfect. The Batman villain roster is hundreds, and I'd like to see a few more others than just keep battling the drum of the Joker and the Penguin and the Riddler and Catwoman when there's so many more. You know, so
great.
But if you keep with this one, that's what's going to take up more and more time and money. And so, don't get me wrong. If it was announced that he's doing another season, I'd be all over it. I think we all would. But I don't think I'd be half that broken if they said that they're not. Do you know what I mean? Because it's perfect as is.
G-Force, what? Now you've caught up with us. Hey, G-Force, by the way. What do you think, Penguin? What did you think?
I haven't watched it. I don't pay for that shit.
We'll just get rid of him then.
We're talking about Batman.
Yeah. So
I've heard it's awesome though. I just haven't been able to watch it.
Yeah, I think we're all in favour, aren't we? I think, but like I said, I just my opinion. If I didn't see another Penguin show, I think I'd be happy.
Yeah.
We've seen sometimes, haven't we, PGM, that sometimes if you rinse something, it tends to go downhill a bit, doesn't it? To be honest.
I mean, it's due to sometimes the writing, getting the right writers in. So
yeah,
they got the right writers in to do this Penguin show. I know that for a fact, which was just sublime. So yeah.
Manga Fandango would make a great Riddler with his questions and magic abilities. I love the way they say magic abilities, Stu, like he's David Blaine.
I know. Yeah, it's blinding.
Oh, hey, Johnny boy, Ricardo. Yeah, everyone's turned up. Right, Si, what's next?
My next question is, and it's not a controversial question, but it's what you prefer. Now, do you prefer the lone stories of the Dark Knight, or do you prefer Batman and Robin? For me, it will always be Batman and Robin. I love Batman and Robin together. Even though Frank Miller sort of changed it going into the late 80s and the 90s with his the Dark Knight journeys on his own, I have always been one where I love Robin. I love Robin just as much as Batman. So what's your preference? Do you prefer Batman and Robin, or do you just prefer the solo tales of Batman?
Right, well, I'll go. I prefer Batman as just Batman. Never really got on with Robin. We were just a hindrance sometimes. I prefer him as a full-on detective mode, badass Batman working alone. I'm sorry.
That's what I mean, because there's so many split stories of them both. You see me, I love the little gypsy kid. I love Robin. Comes from a circus, hard as hell. Biggest underestimation is that guys look at him, he's only 15, but he's a ninja, he's a nutcase, he'll rip your head off. I love Robin. They always are.
Hugh Brossom says Batman and Robin. Keith Knight says Batman and Robin always for me. I'm old.
Yeah, that's it. The boy wonder, dynamic duo. It's just the way I am. What about you, Stu?
So for me, it works well in the animated series, but it doesn't work as well in the movies, because we've had Batman 89, we had Batman Returns, and then I thought Batman Forever and Batman and Robin were like a little bit corny and cheesy. And then you had the Dark Knight trilogy, and then now you've got the Batman. So it works really well in the film. If they can get it to work like it works in the animated series, then yeah, I'll be all over it. But at the moment, they just don't think they've got that balance right between the two of them at the moment.
See, I'm the same way as you in a way, because apart from I'm not a big reader of the graphic novel, so I couldn't tell you about a series Robin, if you would, Stu. All I can tell you about is the Robins I've seen either in the TV show or on screen. And then I hear you lot turn around and say things like, oh, no, there's about 4 or 5 Robins. And I'm like, what the France? When did this happen? Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I agree with you, Stu. It depends on what Robin you're interested in, you know, because I know that the graphic novels, they take it serious, they write it seriously, don't they? It's not like meant to be like, the films that you've seen Robin in. So that's why I look at it.
But I think sometimes these films take. I mean, for me, my favorite Batman film again is Batman Returns because it's the last of the great comic books Batman. It's the last. They call him the Penguin. She's called Catwoman. He's called Batman. They all run around in comic book suits, and it's portrayed like that. And that's why I absolutely adore Batman Returns, because after that, it all seems to go like, oh no, Batman's real. He's got to wear armor. He's got to get stuff for the military. And it's all this real life tone about it, where no matter how much you scrape the barrel, it's still a bloke running around with a Batman cowl on and a long cape through the night.
Oh, you spoiled it for me. You spoiled it for me, Ty.
That's my point. Sometimes I think the fantasy element is losing it a bit, whereas I think Robin keeps that fantasy element in, if you like me.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Jono, what do you think?
Don't like Robin. Have never liked Robin. Ever.
You didn't sell it, Si. You didn't sell it to our Jono. He's like, no, shut up, Si. What are you talking about?
And I think actually Stu summed it up perfectly. You know, in the animation shows, it works well. But when it comes to like the movies, no, they just haven't worked.
Yeah, they can't.
And the better graphic novels and the better comic books, it's always just being Batman on his own. Like Robin's just way off in the background, or he's now called Nightwing, or he's dead, or whatever. And he can stay dead, as far as I'm concerned. It's just even the video games just don't have a minute, and it's great.
No.
Redmond says the same thing. I've got to say, I prefer Batman alone. Robin has always betrayed a bit shit, I think. Super Awesome says, first to a man, first to a woman, for a great person, holy. Hola. Is that what he means? What does he mean?
No idea.
Holy great woman. What is the word? Right, got you. I agree with him. Chief,
I wouldn't be opposed. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, I
No,
wouldn't be
go on.
opposed to having a Robin. I'm not opposed to it, but they've got to get it right. They've got to get the right actor. They've got to get the storyline right, and they've got to get the balance right between Batman and Robin.
I think the problem with Batman and Robin is like, why did you choose a Robin that was about 30? Do you know what I mean? Robin is a young kid. They should have looked at somebody that looked like a young kid. And Chris O'Donnell was a bit too old to play that part for me. And I didn't like his cocky nature, and I didn't like the way he was all like, every time Batman said something, he's like, well, no, Robin's not like that. You know, he's not that sort of character.
Chiefos, what do you think? Robin or not?
I do like Robin, but from 66 and Super Friends, that's how I know Robin.
Great.
The movies, it hasn't worked yet, but I'm not opposed to it.
Camp G. That's all you are.
Well, let me ask you something. How old is Robin meant to be? Like your Richard standard Robin? About 15. Right, okay.
Yeah.
14,
like the new Batman, Damian Wayne Batman, Robin, he's only 10. So it depends which Robin you're going for. But Dick Grayson's 15 years of age when he took him in.
Tim Blake was about 15, 16.
Yeah, Robin's his kid ward sidekick, and it was introduced into Batman because the original runs of the comic books are really, really dark. Like in issue 1 of Batman, Batman's got a mafia member in an aeroplane, and if he doesn't jump out, he's going to shoot him. So he's got the choice, and that's Batman as a character. So it was the time of all like the pulp gangster comics, and some of these were quite gritty. So Warner Brothers decided to bring in a kid sidekick so kids could relate more to this character. It could be more like they're on the journey with Batman, just to soften it up a bit. And for me, it works. I absolutely adore Robin. But again, I understand how people don't, because in the world of today, it's like, it's a bit strange, multi-millionaire hanging around with his kid. And do you know what I mean?
Not really. Look at Jay-Z.
You know what I mean? It's a bit weird, isn't it? So I didn't get that, yeah.
PGM, do you want Robin with your Batman?
I like Stu said it was right. I like him in the Batman animated because they got a good voiceover actor to actually portray that character. Animation's great. CW was quite good, and as well with Nightwing, they introduced Nightwing to CW.
Yeah, that's what Luke said. Although when he becomes Nightwing, that's cool. Yeah. So I didn't know that. So it's Robin that becomes Nightwing, is it?
Yeah, it was Dick. Right. Dick becomes who is Robin the first, right? And then he comes Nightwing. Then you've got Damian Wayne, right? And then you've got Tim Blake after that, because Damian Wayne in some iterations goes off as Red Hood, and then Tim Blake comes into the picture, and he's the new Robin.
Yeah, like Jason Todd. There's a few Robins, yeah, that turned. But
Yeah.
I always liked the character in Nightwing. Also, that was pretty cool that Dick Grayson just eventually got so fed up of Batman mothering him and not letting him do and not becoming the superhero he could, that eventually went, you know what, I'm leaving this and cracking me on. And, he's a beloved character, Nightwing. He has been for 30 years. Brilliant.
Because didn't Jason Todd become Red Hood?
Yeah, first Red Hood. Yeah, Jason Todd.
Yeah. I always thought the Joker was Red Hood. Papa God sent me a Joker with a red helmet on.
In the beginning, in Gotham City, the Red Hood gang was a character that most mobsters took on to become like a super villain. If you wore the mantle of the Red Hood, people were like, oh my God, it's the Red Hood. And they didn't go near you. So that's why different mobsters use the Red Hood disguise. In The Killing Joke, the guys say to the Joker, you're going to have to wear this to do this job because it's the Red Hood. So others would be like, oh my God, it's the Red Hood. That's how they sort of portrayed it. But this time the police just had enough and shot him to bits.
I think Super Awesome's got a riddle for us. I'm in a room with no windows or doors. What room am I?
Padded.
Padded? Ooh, could be padded.
No windows and doors.
Yeah.
Or G-Force's room.
Here.
Some of the best comic stories of all time for Batman have Robin in it. Would you agree with that, guys?
Yes, 100%.
To me, there is no Batman without Robin in it, says Jason. I think, yeah. Although, saying that, though, it's like the latest movie, The Batman, it was good without Robin in it, I thought. Because
but that's year one. Is it year one?
Right,
or year
okay,
two?
right. Now I get it.
He's on his own on year 1 and 2, so... Yeah.
The tags on my truck say Dark Knight, so I mean.
Kieran says, I always preferred the original Robin from Earth 2 who aged naturally. What do you think of that?
1 and 2. Can't remember. They're like all the worlds, though, aren't they?
Luke says, like Stu says, it works in the animated series as Robin is portrayed as a kid and impulsive and immature. Do you think that's what it is? You think it's because you want your Batman to be serious and so you don't want this little kid cocky? And
it is for me.
Yeah. It is for you, DTM.
Yeah.
Well, think about it, right? Yeah. If all these people that just made the Penguin show turn around and said, right, well, next year we're doing a Dick Grayson. Next year is about the Robin, and we're going to get an 8-part series about how the Robin becomes a member of the Bat family. We'd all be all over that. After we'd be like, oh, I can't wait to watch this. Yeah. I think what Stu said hit the nail on the head before. It's the writing. It's who you leave this in the hands of. Obviously, Star Wars has been left in the hands of utter morons. To me, my opinion, utter bread bin heads. It's been left in the hands of. You know what I mean? The first question asked these people is, do you know anything about Star Wars? No, great, you've got the job. I think that's just the most imbecilic thing I've ever heard in my life. Do you know what I mean?
This was a Batman stream.
The thing is, you give stuff to people that know what they're doing and know what they're talking about and love and have a passion for it. Look what gets created at the end.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
And also,
because I'm not really a fan of hating everything. I'm not a fan of like waiting for new stuff to come out so I can piss myself laughing at it. I'm not a fan of that. I like to look forward to stuff that's coming and be like, can't wait for this. I'm looking at this new Gotham City world that they're building up. I can't wait to see all of it. You know.
Yeah.
So even though people say, "Oh, you've got to an old man," "Oh, that's not your," it's rubbish because there's other things that still really excite you. Like I'm a 10-year-old kid. Do you know what I mean? And this was one of them in today, 2024. So all this talk about, oh, it's just because I get disillusioned of other stuff and I'm too old for it. Load of rubbish. It's just because it's wrote by children. Load of crap.
It's not difficult, is it? Sorry, just keep true to what the story is and what that environment is. Don't stray too far away from it because then it becomes something totally different and it's not what it's supposed to be. Like, you know, so like the Penguin was the Penguin because that's how he was written. He manipulated situations. He played the Maronis off against the Falcons. You know, he was a clever guy, and that's how he was written. And if you look at the TV series Gotham, he was played by a different actor, but he was exactly the same. He played the Maronis off against the Falcons. He was conniving. He was cunning, and and it's just brilliant writing. And they've stayed true to that character, which is great.
And to be fair as well, Stu, he was a fantastic Penguin, that kid. I love
He was,
this
yeah,
Penguin.
well,
I love
yeah.
the guy that played the Riddler in that as well. Both of them two were just really, really good. Yeah.
Super Awesome says he's never understood why they don't get comic book writers to work on the films. Now, you lot are all comic book readers, so would you agree with that? I've always said it myself. You know, I'm a big Star Wars reader, and you know, I love Timothy Zahn, Paul S. Kemp, James Luceno, and some of them have wrote some beautiful books. That it always baffled me that the way we've all argued and been frustrated with Star Wars, why not get these writers in? Why not get these lads that were actually doing it when there was no Star Wars movies and so forth? Do you think the same way? Or when you look at things like The Penguin or Gotham, like what Stu just said, it's been written great anyway.
I think there have been comic book artist consultants for the writing on different Batman iterations. So they would have to be to actually. I mean, if Tim Burton wanted to have a good film like Batman Returns, he would have got. He did have Bob Kane on the set. So he, and other iterations, I think Matt Reeves might have had one or two Batman year one.
Yeah, you always see Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale on nearly all the production credits in the CW world and shows like that. And so I think that you do. I think some of them do. I think you'd be stupid not to, wouldn't you? That's like putting me in charge of Liverpool Football Club. Just because I know football doesn't mean I know football like a manager does. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes you've got to pick somebody that's perfect. If you want to make people happy in the sense of a franchise that's been going for so long, do you know, that's my point is that I don't understand this, the profitability of negativity, if you'll have me. It's like we can't go and enjoy anything anymore. It's got to be a discussion. We've got to be pissed off. It's got to be loads of shows debated about it instead of just enjoying something. And I think the biggest share of like shows like The Penguin and this new Batman was a franchise that I've loved since I was a little boy. I'm still loving to this day, and it's still in good hands, and people are still making good stuff with it. I'm not sat here going, "Oh my God, Batman's a woman," or anything like that. Or
I didn't realise
changes.
That animated Batman show that's just come on, HBO turned that down. And it's funny because HBO said they didn't want, and then Amazon bought it, and it's been cancelled already. So the one where they turned the Penguin, it's been cancelled already. I don't think anybody really watched it. But I've got to admit,
Warner Brothers turned that down as well. The guy who's now in charge of Warner Brothers, the movie side of things, his name begins with a Z. I can't remember what it is. He just basically said, no, that's not going out. No.
I watched the first episode. And
that's Amazon. I'm talking about HBO and Warner Brothers. He said, no, that's not Zaslav, that's it. He just said, no, it's not going out. And they tried to ship that to other companies for about 2 years until Amazon bought it. So that's been done for a long time now.
Because I watched the first episode and it was all right, but she killed off I don't know whether anyone's seen it or not, but she has two sons, the Penguin, as Walder, I think she's called. And it was a bit, I was like, the animation I didn't really like, to be honest. It was all right. I don't mind 2D animation, but this was a bit, it looked cheap, Jono, to me. It didn't look well done.
Didn't flow. I think the problem was they announced that one of the main people behind Batman, the animated series, was involved in this. So I think people's expectations were just like crazy high. And it turned out he's just like a consultant on it. He wasn't a guy who did the art or story.
John, talk it down to J.J. Abrams. Talk it down to J.J. Abrams' disaster again, because he spent flipping years doing that animation, right? This is J.J. Abrams' project that's been sitting on for years.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
And now it's been taken off again. I'm going, can you get anything right?
Yeah.
So,
well, like Warner Brothers just hate making money. Like myself and Simon have been talking about this for years now. All you have to do if you want to make $1 billion movie, you get Michael Keaton as Old Man Batman, you get the kid from Karate Kid or Cobra Kai to play, Batman Beyond, and away you go. You're going to make $1 billion easy.
Yeah, you've got everything in Batman Beyond. Everything's in it. I don't understand how we still live in a day today where we haven't seen a Batman Beyond, the Batman of the Future movie. I don't get it. I still don't. Because that was, again, after the animated series, when that series came out and it was Batman of the Future first, I adored it. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the way that New Gotham was all Japanesey and it just all neon, and it was brilliant. It really was a great show. And it's took on all these years later. People have a great fondness of Batman Beyond, don't they? They do love the character of Terry
I never saw it. Never saw it.
You'd love it, man. You'd love it.
It's like a perfect continuation of the animated series.
I did get into them though because I didn't have the time to get the comics and get the graphic novels. But I noticed that the majority of what Warner Brothers does on HBO is they make all like Hush and Gotham by Gaslight, and they put them all into like movies, if you will, animated movies. And I really enjoyed them. I've asked Si which ones to watch, and he's told me that some of them I've really enjoyed. Ricardo says here, I will stick with the Dark Knight trilogy. The trilogy has my favorite Joker, Catwoman, Bane, and Ra's al Ghul in it. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that's a nice segment, because my next question was going to be to you all, is that for me, each individual Batman film, no matter how you've thought of them, there's somebody that's always portrayed a Batman villain or character in that fantastic. Like for me, it's not a popular decision, but my favorite ever Catwoman I ever saw portrayed was Anne Hathaway in Batman. And I did not like Batman The Dark Knight Rises. I thought that film was awful. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was stupid. But she was standout as Catwoman. She felt like the first proper Selina Kyle that I've been reading in my books for years. So my question is to you lot, who was your favourite so far portrayed character from any Batman film that you'd seen that you thought, that's perfect? I'll go with you first, Stu.
I've got to say Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, so you go back to Batman 89 with Jack Nicholson, and he was absolutely outstanding, absolutely fantastic. And I loved what he did with that character, and I thought he was just awesome. But then, you know, a few years later, you get like a new Batman trilogy. Heath Ledger's being cast as the Joker, and you think, oh my God, you know, is this? And then you see him, and then you just think, wow, what a performance. And, you know, so they're two totally different portrayals of the character, but I just thought he was just absolutely fantastic. The way he licked his lips as well and stuff like that. And that's to keep the prosthetics moist because they kept on drying up and something like that. But it just added to the character. And I just thought he was insanely good. And, you know, it's such a shame what happened with him, and he couldn't be in the third one, because I think the third one would have been a far better film with him in it.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question then. Were they going to put him in the third one with his Stu? I didn't know that.
I think I think that's what was planned.
It was Stu.
Right, yeah. I didn't know that. Right, okay.
Well, the third one was going to be planned where it's like a League of Assassins from basically Batman 66, where the Joker got a bit of a crew formed up together. There's a few of them formed up. Yeah. New Batman villains, but I think they went the way with Bane because, I mean, Tom Hardy's that portrayal of Bane, if you like it or not, you know, for me, it wasn't really Bane, what I know from like the books, and it was a great character and stuff, but again, out of the three, that was my most disappointing one. But
it's funny that
you're right. Steve Ledger was something else, wasn't it?
I agree with Nick here. I loved Bane. I thought what a great story arc that was, especially with that the woman. You know what I mean? And we protected her in that pit, and so I thought it was superb. I really liked it. I mean, it's Tom Hardy, and it's all. I can't think of anything I've disliked him in, to be honest. But I agree with Nick. I just thought, to me, Bane villain was superb. I'd never seen something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's usually mustache twirling when it comes to Batman villains, especially up till then. Do you see what I mean? Joker changed it. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker, you can't disagree with that. No. But I did like that character. What about you, Jono?
I really like Bane. I thought Tom Hardy did a great job. The voice he put on was perfect. But yeah, Heath Ledger is the Joker. You just can't top that. Like, he just stole every scene he was in. Like, just every single scene he was in. He just acted everyone off. And you knew when he was on, like, what the hell is this lunatic going to do now? Yeah. And that's exactly the way the Joker should be. Just pure chaos in human form. So yeah, it has to be Heath Ledger. And Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman now, like, whoo. Oh.
Yeah. Detail, what about you, pal?
Well, Heath Ledger as the Joker. I mean, you've said it all already. I mean, the way that it made the viewer feel uncomfortable watching him. You didn't know what was going to happen. It just made you feel uneasy. and it just acted through the screen, you know, into yourself. It were
That's a good way of looking at it. That. You are right. You were a bit tense watching him, weren't you?
You felt, what is he going to do? But other than that,
scene.
I like looking at Anne Hathaway. She's nice to look at. Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman for me as well.
Yeah, Pfeiffer was brilliant. What were we going to say, Stu?
I was going to say the opening scene in where we know when he makes his appearance as the Joker, he's all dressed up and he does that stupid laugh, that sort of thing, and then he stands there and he goes, "Oh, do you think you're going to walk in and take all this money?" And he just goes, "Yeah," like that. It's just the way he says it. It's so simple, but it's just.
You just remind me of something. I've been recently watching the 66 TV show. I've never seen the TV show. And I thought, I mean, the 66 movie, I know at the back of my hand, but I watched it and I didn't realize that those masks that were in that Heath Ledger's Joker are in the TV show. I didn't know that. I never knew. And I thought, what a great touch that was. That was awesome. PGM, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with everyone else with the Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, there's a scene in the when he's in the when he's with Maggie, right? And he's saying, "Why so serious?" Right?
Yeah.
And when Maggie is looking away, she's looking at the director saying, "Are you going to cut? Are you going to cut?" And they didn't. They just kept that in because it was, it wasn't cut at all. So it's just amazing the performance he got out of her with him saying, "Why so serious?" And it's just brilliant. The realism of, I think, Heath Ledger, because he had a model to work off. Was it a Sid Vicious kind of character, punk rock kind of thing?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. The great craziness, right? Not a care in the world. Burn it all down, kind of fantastic, I thought. So Michelle Pfeiffer would come in probably second with that.
Pfeiffer.
Performance.
She was good, wasn't she? She was really good. Very haunting. G-Force, what about you, buddy?
Well, I agree with everything everyone said so far, but to say something different, Michael Caine as Alfred is one of my favorites.
Oh,
Yeah, he did a good job. I agree with that, G-Force. I think what it is, though, I mean, you look at the Batman 89, though, and Nicholson. I think these Jokers that have been portrayed, from Cesar Romero all the way up to Heath Ledger, I think they've all done like a James Bond kind of thing. They've all adapted this character, but brought their own thing to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like if you look at Roger Moore to Daniel Craig and so forth, they're not the same Bond, but you appreciate them being Bond, if you will. So, Nicholson, to me, I mean, I recently watched with my son the Batman 89 movie. He does a great job in it, but I think he does more like the in a way, it's like a twist of a serious one and like the 66 kind of camp kind of thing. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. He more played Jack Nicholson than the Joker. Like the Jack guy of him, like the guy he is. Wasn't he great Joker? Brilliant. For me, it will always be my favourite movie Joker because it's Nicholson. It was Batman 89. It was everything around it that we saw. So, but again, you can't take it away from Aaron Eckhart either because his Two-Face was just unbelievable.
That was really good,
And that scene, Jono, where the Joker's dressed as that nurse and he's come to tell me, he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," when he walks in. It's just one of the perfect scenes I've ever seen. It was just brilliant the way he kicks off. And then at the end, he says, "Well, I'll tell you what, let the coin decide." And I was like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Jones played Two-Face too. So he's a well-credited actor, But,
it'd been funny where Tim Burton's Batman would have gone if, obviously we all know the story about Superman Lives and stuff, and Tim Burton did such a great job on the two Batmans that was it straight away. They wanted him for Superman, and it all went down the pants. And then, but I wonder what his Batman 3 was heavily supposed to feature Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. So I just wonder how that would have gone if it had made it, And
that's a good point.
In some of the comics,
been successful.
Carried it on the story in Batman 89 comic. Carried it on with Tommy Lee Jones, Billy D. Williams in there.
Yeah. Kieran here saying Frank Gershwin. I remember him as the Riddler. He did he was classically trained though. He was like, in a way at the time, I remember this. this was a weird role for him to do a TV show because he was on Broadway a lot and in theatre a lot and so forth. So, who was the best Alfred?
With characters, he's probably is my Riddler. When I think of the Riddler, that's my Riddler. You know, he's the first guy that pops in my head. It's right. I think we all have that with the heroes that we see. You get one that you love. Like Linda Carter will always be my Wonder Woman. Christopher Reeve will always be my, Superman. Adam West will always be my Batman. I think the first things you get are the ones, aren't they?
Gil's is asking, who was your best outfit? I like the guy in Gotham. Was it Pertwee?
Sean Pertwee. Yeah,
Sean Pertwee. I liked him. I liked his portrayal. I thought that was awesome. XSAS, wasn't he, and all that sort of stuff. And then I remember watching the actual Alfred, what was it, Pennyworth, the TV show Pennyworth, but that went away too much. I watched it for the first 2 seasons, but it was going more into like the craze kind of thing. It came well away from, I didn't really, I didn't finish it because of that. But no, I liked Pertwee in Gotham. He was good. What about you, Stu?
It's a tough one for me. It's either Michael Caine or Sean Pertwee, and I've got to say, both of them were absolutely fantastic. I just love their portrayal. And it's, you know, the accent, you know, Michael Caine, his voice is very distinguished anyway. And then Sean Pertwee was very like Londoner as well, wasn't he? And
he was in a way,
it was just both. I can't decide, so I'm on the fence with the two of those. So,
would you say the Andy Serkis one was more portrayed like the Sean Pertwee one? I would. He had that kind of Alfred in him, didn't he?
I need to watch that again because I've watched it once and it was like a long film and it was late and I wasn't really paying much attention, so I really do need to watch that again. The Batman.
Right. Michael Goff says Kieran. Michael Caine says Ricardo. What about you, Jono?
This is a tough one. Like, there's 3 great actors there. Michael Caine, he's amazing in anything. He's been around for so long. You just can't help but love him. I like Jeremy Irons in the Snyderverse. I thought he was a really good.
Good call.
Just the snarkiness of him just worked. And Andy Serkis, I liked what we saw of him as Alfred, but we didn't get enough. He's kind of barely in the movie, if you know what I mean. So between Caine and Irons, I couldn't pick one. They're both just amazing for different reasons.
Sorry.
Well, me, it's Alan Napier, Batman 66. He was my true Alfred. He even dressed as Batman in some episodes, and he will always be. I hated Michael Keaton as Alfred. Michael Caine as Alfred. I couldn't stand.
Did you? Really?
I love Michael Caine. I love him as a British actor, but as Alfred, I just could not. And everything.
Is it because it was Michael Caine's side?
Yeah. It was because I was like, I couldn't have him as Alfred, and everything he kept saying was like always in the riddle all the time, like, sir, you do without, and if you go there, and the thing, he was like, what are you talking about? These riddles constantly. Like,
did you expect him to go, Batman, see you lose,
It was just, I don't know, it took out the role from Alfred for me. I agree with Jono. My favourite Alfred was Alan Napier from the first one, but Jeremy Irons was, again, the closest, like to Batman Earth 1 and stuff. That Alfred was brilliant, and Jeremy Irons was very much like that Alfred, and I did like him a lot.
Hey, Palps. DTM, who's your favourite Alfred?
Yeah, I enjoyed Michael Goff in the first 2 Batman movies. I think that they should have recast him for Batman Forever and Batman and Robin.
Yeah, they kept the same that's right. They kept the same Alfred, didn't they?
Yeah, probably Michael Goff for me. Jeremy Irons I'd forgotten about until Jono mentioned him then.
Jono, Batman up. He's Batman,
he was quite a good Alfred,
PGM?
Michael Caine. Looking at you, sorry. That's fear, man. And probably the Batman animated Alfred.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call, yeah.
Good call.
Good calls. What about you?
Oh, it's Michael Caine all day.
Yeah, it's funny that, but I understand what you mean, Si, when you said it. It's Michael Caine playing it. Do you know what I mean? Although Andy Serkis and Jeremy Irons, they're all big actors. They're not.
I understand that to a point. Yeah. Like some of the cameos we're seeing in these Star Wars shows and stuff that Disney's putting out, like it takes you out of the moment. It's a recognizable face. It's you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like recognizable faces
If
in
it's out of
franchises.
place, it
Who's
startles.
Ephraim Zimblast Jr. from the Tim animated series? Anybody know who that is?
Oh, is that the one I just actually mentioned? Batman.
Possibly.
Possibly. Yeah. What series was Mark Hamill played the Joker in, says R. Jason? Am I thinking of
series? Animated series, yeah.
That's right. He did the voice, didn't he, John? No. That's
right.
He
did the voice of the Joker in the Arkham Asylum games as well.
Actually, Tim Curry actually did the first voiceover. Tim Curry did the first voiceover. And then
a lot of people's favorite Joker is Mark Hamill's voice.
Yeah, you are Kieran saying it. Hamill provided the voice for the Joker in the animated shows, but played the trickster on the Flash TV show. It's funny that because I hated that movie, The Flash. I could not stand it. I thought it was honestly, but it was great seeing Keaton back. And I was thinking to myself, because I know he's 73, 74 now, but let's be honest, he looks fantastic, doesn't he? He looks great for his age, you know. Would you like to see an older kind of Batman, Stu? Would you like to see like a Batman that's lit? Because usually we see him when he's in his peak or he's younger.
I mean, why not? I mean, again, if it's written well and it and they do a good job of it, then yeah, absolutely, why not?
I think I would, because it was great seeing him, but that movie was awful.
You know, I
hated that movie. No, I didn't like it at all.
I love The Flash. I thought it was a great popcorn film. I like the way he wore an old Batman suit and did it up as the Flash one. There was loads of top stuff in it. I really enjoyed it. I love that Supergirl. That Supergirl was brilliant.
Yeah,
really good.
I just don't like him, I suppose.
Back as Zod. That was great. Having all new scenes again from the first Superman and stuff.
That fight kept on redoing, you know. That was brilliant, that. Flying around in his Batwing.
Yeah, the Batman parts were good.
I think when we see comic book movies being comic book movies, I think we get more enjoyment out of that. Whereas, you know, you can see the fabulousness in it and the stupidness in it and the fantasy in it, whatever you want to do because it's comic books. I quite like to still see that in movies and comic books. I do. I don't like to see that disappeared. So for me, The Flash was just a great popcorn movie. I thought it was really good.
I agree, Jason. I liked the TV show. I like the Barry Allen in the Flash TV show. I thought he was. I like that young lad playing him, but but it was great to see him. Yeah, it was great to see him. Indy could have been a great old Indy for Harrison Ford, but two incredibly poorly written scripts let him down. I think we're all in agreement there. If you're going to do an old school Batman, it's the story that has to get you done it because you're watching it. I think that's where Indiana Jones. It's not as bad the last Indiana Jones movie as I thought, but it was the story that let me down. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
Star Wars and Indiana Jones. Listen, there's 6 Star Wars films and there's 3 Indiana Jones films, and that's how it's always going to be.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Si, is I think I wouldn't mind watching an 80-year-old Indiana Jones if the story was better. I think the story was just over the fact, he's old now. And after about 10 minutes, you're like, I get it. He's old, but am I really going to sit through 2.5 hours? So I think with Batman, if they're going to do an old Batman, for me, it'd have to be the story. Because there's a certain comic in there, or a graphic novel that's out where he's old, isn't there?
Well, let me ask you something on this. Do you prefer getting old, or do you prefer a newer actor in the role and another 10, 15 years of movies of this character?
That was the question I was going to ask. Like the 007 story going with another.
The don't have 007 not, did it?
It works. Why can't just James Bond, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, but why can't we work back for Indiana Jones though? Why can't we have a new Indiana Jones who's 28, 32, whatever years of age, good 10 years of him, then replace him again and keep it Indiana Jones, World War II.
Different what works with that character's life.
Yes, Connor. Thank you.
He would. He's very handsome, our DTM, so he would make a good Bruce Wayne. I don't mind, Si, to tell you the truth.
Why you asked that question? They most probably make that decision to actually recast him because they've actually going to recast the actor for Chadwick Boseman for his character. Right? They weren't going to do that, and now they are going to do that with T'Challa.
Yeah,
so that might be in the cards for recasting a young actor to do it, right?
But they're not going to do that with his son, though, because at the end of Black Panther 2, he has a son. We come across his son. So is his son not going to be the new Black Panther?
No, I don't think they're going to go down that road. I think
that's going to be 30 years in the future as well, Si, isn't it? You know what I mean? If he's only, I don't know, but I think that's what it would be for me. It would be to watch an older Batman. It'd have to be a really good story, and I don't want to watch him. Like I said, like the Indiana Jones thing, where we know he's old, we know he is. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's where you bring in. That's where you bring in Batman Beyond, because that's where Bruce Wayne is at that point in time. So, you know, with Guinness,
I said, how they not done that yet?
I mean, the things as well with the Indiana Jones film, it was so unrealistic. An 80-year-old guy climbing up flipping rocks and walls. I mean, crikey, I'm 50, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. I struggled up the stairs, mate. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I know he's 50. You never said. You never said.
Pull your pony out. Pull your bloody pony out. Go on.
I get knackered going up and down stairs every day. Do you know what I mean? And it's just so unrealistic. So if they were to do a Batman, an older Batman, yes, I'm not opposed to it, but make it, like I say, it's all about the story, it's all about the writing, and don't have him like doing stuff that he was doing when he was 30, 40 years old, because it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I loved about that sort of story, though, Stu, because you do find out that the Batman is absolutely battered, that he's just about able to walk. But Gotham's still the place it is, so he needs that new blood, and he needs to train somebody up his entire way. So it works. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you all something. You just remind me of something right now about the realism of Batman, right? Now, I remember the Neil Adams drawing. It was the grey and blue Batman with the spandex. But the way it was drawn, it was intimidating for me. I always thought Batman should be at least 6'5", 6'6". Should be an imposing guy. Like you made a point before, Si, about saying he's a bloke with a cape and a cowl on. So he's meant to look that big. One of the things I didn't like about the Nolan trilogy, even though they're fantastic movies, it's only a nitpick, if you will, is how real they tried. It's like they tried to explain to you, you know, oh, this is Teflon and this will do this and this will do that. I didn't really need that, because it's like what Si said before. It's a guy dressed up as a Batman around Gotham. So do you prefer realism, lads, or do you prefer more fantasy when it comes to your Batman? So I'll start with Stu and go around.
God. I don't mind. I don't mind it, to be honest with you. I mean, I prefer him running around in those suits than what than bloody tights and whatever, like Adam West did back in the day. But I don't mind it. There is a element of realism to it, I guess, because you are on Earth, aren't you, and stuff like that. So but I mean, all those gadgets are quite. I don't know. I didn't mind it. I don't mind. I think it fits.
Jono, what do you reckon?
I don't like comic costumes on screen. They just don't work. I think the route that they went with the Nolan Batman movies and then the Snyder stuff and then the Batman, I think it just works better. Like, you're running around in just your t-shirt and fighting someone shooting you with a gun. It's not going to end well. It's just not. Whereas you have the body armor, it makes more sense and it just works.
Do you think it's the character as well, though, Jono? Because you look at Reeve as Superman, and even now, even though that's a spandexy suit that he's got on, it works perfect. Is it because that's Superman? Nothing's going to.
That's Superman, though.
Right. So it goes with the character, right? Yeah. Got you. Is that what you think, Si?
No, not at all. You remember the comic book Son of the Demons, where Batman is getting trained by the League of Shadows, which we know as the League of Assassins from the movies. And the first thing the ninja say to him is, this is the reason why we don't wear armor. So they don't get shot at. Everything's perfect for them. Batman doesn't need no armor. He's a ninja skill. So I've always been a bit... But again, for the Christopher Nolan trilogy, it fitted in perfect because he wanted a realistic, worlded, down-grounded Batman. That's what he wanted. He didn't want any superheroes in. There'll be no Superman connected, nobody with powers. He wanted... Even though he says, like, we'll never call Catwoman, he gives her fucking Catwoman ears. So it was baffling to me, so... But he wanted it grounded, so that was his Batman visions, So... But no, I don't agree with all the armor business and all that, no. I like Batman to be the stealth who he is. Do you know what I mean? That armor's just
in the shadows.
To get shot,
The Dark Knight.
Our Dave.
I like a gritty Batman, and the more armor, the better. To be honest, you know, all the guns, all the batons, you know. Bring them on.
It's impressive. Everyone's got different. This is awesome. Yeah. Imagine if this was Star Wars, we'd all be kicking off by now. It's awesome, you know.
That's one of the things that I liked about Ben Affleck as Batman. He were a brutal Batman when we first saw him.
I agree with that.
You know what? I thought he was an absolute joke, mate. I didn't like him at all until I watched the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
And then when I watched that Snyder Cut, I preferred Ben Affleck, because when I watched the Justice League, I thought, this is a bit. But then I watched that film and it's a completely different film, mate. It's weird.
You're comparing it to apples and oranges with that, aren't you? Really? So
you are. I agree. Yeah. So go on, PGM. Do you like your men in spandex or in armor?
Well, yeah. Even I've been in spandex, and I love it.
I bet that's a look. Good God.
You've got some pictures.
I have.
I'll show you.
Ride your pony. I can ride one of your ponies, Stu. So yeah. No, I
agree. One of these ponies in spandex. What films have you been in?
On a pony.
Stu's got a production company called I Love My Pony.
I've got to be in it.
Yeah.
Pony. Anyway, PGM, you were saying.
I agree with. I like this the style that Ben Affleck had with his grey, ripped up kind of fighting suit. You know, that suit kind of thing. I love Henry Cavill's Superman suit. They had a purpose for every movie. I think they worked. But I probably agree with Sway. I didn't like the armored one that Ben Affleck was. I think the storyline around it was pretty naff. Batman vs Superman. It didn't really
it was awful.
I watched it once. I didn't watch it again. It wasn't. I thought rubbish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was nearly as bad as Man of Steel. Nearly as bad.
Nothing is as
bad. Man of Steel was just what the hell is this? The problem is, and I've always said the same thing about Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill. They were fantastic Batman and Supermans. None of them had a fantastic role. None of them. Yeah. And you look at how Henry Cavill was portrayed throughout the Superman movies. I mean, and throughout the Justice League, you were like, first film he's dead, second film he's a villain. Batman of Steel, don't even get me started on the dump that was. And the Jesse Eisenberg who played Lex Luthor, I just thought that was terrible.
I agree with you there. I wholeheartedly agree with you there. Why did they cast Jesse Eisenberg?
Well, these are the characters I love, and like people that defend Star Wars, Disney, they love Star Wars, so they feel like they've got a sense of defending. But sometimes you can't defend the undefendable, and I can understand why DC stepped in and went, "Whoa, start this again! What the hell are you doing?" Superman's not a miserable character. Wonder Woman's not a miserable, moody character. And they all sort of played it like the Batman roles. And I was like, no. So I'm glad that DC had the balls to say, whoa, stop now. Whatever's gone on, start again. And I appreciate that.
Before we get to G-Force, John says here, think about the Joe films. They are not G.I. Joe because they're they are not wearing the outfits. You can't tell who Shitwreckers was in film because even though he was there. What do you think, G-Force?
About that?
Well, yeah, and obviously you're back. And the outfits. Wake up, G-Force. You're live, G-Force. Wake up, mate.
I think the costume has to portray what you have in the movie. So I like the armor, but more than that, I think the character themselves has to look like a Batman. Like they kind of have to be athletic. You're a ninja, like Sai's saying. You got to do a lot of stuff. So the dad bods on the Adam West and stuff, that's not a befitting look for such a tough superhero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's why I kind of lean towards the armor and the costume more than the spandex.
Phil says Man of Steel was torture.
It was pretty bad.
I didn't mind it, Man of Steel.
I still enjoy it for what it was, but it was.
I know my wife liked it. That's all I'm going to say there.
No, there was another thing. I'm just glad with the X-Men films that they've gone along the lines now where you do see the brown and yellow, you do see the blue and yellow suits. You know what I mean? I'm glad that they've just, because in the beginning it's like, oh, we can't put yellow spandex on them. They've all got to wear black leather. X-Men black leather.
Connor says if you stand in front of a mirror and say Man of Steel 3 times, Tubbs appears behind you. You won't see it until you turn around and look.
I'll try that.
Can I just ask you one question?
Yeah, of course you can, Stu.
Do you think Batman 89 would have worked if Michael Keaton would have been in spandex and not the armored suit? Do you think the Dark Knight trilogy would have worked if Gareth Bale, what's his name?
Gareth Bale, his brother.
Who played him?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale was in spandex or in the armor. It's the same with Ben Affleck and the same with Robin Pattinson.
Good point. That is a good point. You're right. I never thought about that.
Ben Affleck's outfit's got more back to the spandex, though. When you look at Ben Affleck's outfit, the more of a spandexy look than what I would say Keaton's was, or Christian Bale's was, or even the new Batman today. That's nowhere near a spandex look. The new Batman. So I think for the vision that they went for the Christopher Nolan movies, he had to be in that armor. He was set up like he's got this big company. They make basically Tony Stark. And I think that's another thing that sort of hurt me, that. Whereas that wouldn't have happened. It's too much. Because that guy says to him, look, I know who he is, and I want 10 million a year, and I want this, that, and whatever. When he says to him, you don't want to blackmail this guy, and he sings twice, doesn't he? So it was a bit like, it's a bit, that wouldn't have happened. But again, it suits that role. For Batman 66, the spandex suits it perfectly. Perfect.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that Batman in armor in that show?
Yeah, you and Stu made good points there. It depends on the actual story of it. Yeah, you're right. Because Nolan's Batman, in a way, was based in realism, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't a fantasy kind of thing, was it? So
no. But the same guy that's doing this Batman has said the same thing. My Batman lives in a realism world. Now, we might call these characters certain names that you know them by, but as far as you're seeing the Green Lantern and Superman and any Justice League member in this world, that ain't going to happen. This Batman lives in our world. It's the real world of it, so.
Got you.
Again, maybe that's what kills the Robin. That's what probably they don't like Robin in these because in the real world, that wouldn't really be seen as PC, would it? Really, to be fair, a grown man who's an absolute psychopathic idiot to do what he's doing, taking a young boy with him. Nothing sexual in that, but more in the mental. What are you doing this to a young boy for? Why are you having him on rooftops at 3 in the morning?
But then why does it work in comics? Why does it work in comics? It's because still the same principle. Why is it still work in comics and an animated series, but it can't work in a real live movie?
Good point.
I think it's because comics, Stu, is in the title. It's the comics of it. You can be freelance. You can tell these stories. You can accept a 10-year-old ninja kid as Batman's son. Yeah. But again, if this was going to be a film, I don't think I would accept a 10-year-old ninja kid fighting alongside Batman. But in comic books, you've got flying vehicles. You've got everything that's in sci-fi as well as fantasy, and molded together. Sometimes you can make a perfect mix, can't they?
Sticking with the actual thing, John says, but even though the suit was armor, it still had a bat symbol on it and the spikes and the gauntlets, and they came. I suppose if you add on the elements, we want to see, it's like James Bond, I suppose, with the Walther and the car, and it keeps the elements of Batman. I suppose it doesn't really matter.
Some things don't kind of work on screen as they do in comic books sometimes, and you've got to adapt. That's what they've got to adapt. So that's how sometimes films, work. You see something in the comics that you like, but it's not going to relate to on film or on television. That's what a workaround. They work around that, or they completely change it.
Kieran Ball says, question for the panel. Would Batman 89 have worked if Mel Gibson, Kevin Costner, Charlie Sheen or Dennis Quaid had got the part instead of Keaton? What do you reckon, Chief?
I would have loved to see Mel Gibson Batman.
Imagine Charlie Sheen's Batman.
Mel Gibson,
But you said that at the start with Michael Keaton, though. Remember, because he was Mr. Mom and he was in the Money. I mean, not the Money, but he was in all those rom-com kind of, slapstick movies.
No, I can't imagine Mel Gibson or Kevin Costner.
I love Mel Gibson Batman, especially from them days, the Mad Max days. Yeah.
Costner.
Could see that.
Too slow.
Who would
Yeah,
you like? Yeah, go on, Stu.
I think Mel Gibson would have worked because he's also in Lethal Weapon as well, wasn't he? So
That's what I mean.
I think out of the lot, he would have worked, but I prefer Keaton. I'm glad they went with Keaton.
And he's played as Batman out of booted off me at 12 years of age.
I don't know, man.
What the hell?
Simon Quaid is an all-American hero, mate. He
Yeah,
would have
but
made
as
a great
Batman,
Batman.
come on. That's like us. For God. No.
What wouldn't have made Batman if he was portrayed with a full-on ninja outfit with no ears, bat signal, or cape or anything? Yeah, I suppose you're right. But then again, that's what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi. That's why I didn't like it, because this wasn't the character we knew at all. And I suppose if you made a Batman like what John just said, like this, with nothing else on, would you'd kick off as well? That was my only issue with, and I don't want to turn it into a Star Wars thing, but I agree with what you're saying. If you watch Batman and there's no car, there's no cave, there's no weapons, there's no gadgets, you'd be like, well, what we're watching?
Not necessarily, because 3/4 of Batman Begins is that. 3/4 of Batman Begins.
Yeah.
There's no car, there's no outfit, there's no gadgets. You're just watching a guy turn into this character.
In the comic books and the animated series, that he wore a balaclava and wore black, right? That was his Batman. He didn't even have a symbol, right? So, or a car.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I remember the massive backlash when Mr. Mom was cast as Batman. People wrote letters to the studio. It was pre-internet.
Do you not find this weird that at the beginning we were all like that? Even me as a kid. 89. How old was I? I think I was 14 in 89. I remember being like, "Oh my God, infant! Like, he's Batman." But you fast forward it 30 years, and he's almost everyone's favorite Batman.
Yeah.
You talk to people now, and you say Batman, and Michael Keaton goes boom straight in their head.
Yeah.
Before anybody else does.
But it's not even that long ago we had a situation like that when Affleck was named as playing Batman in the Snyderverse. People were losing their minds online.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, people were not happy at all.
I wasn't happy, I'll be honest.
Great Batman out of him.
Same
with Patterson when he was named. It was like, oh no, we haven't.
You see, but the thing about that is, I'd watched a full of his independent movies. I think everyone was still thinking of the Twilight thing, and that was like 20 years. But the latest one's like The Lighthouse he did, and that one where he played that Southern preacher, he was fantastic in him. So when it was done, that I thought, you know what, this is going to work. This because he's become a very good actor, and to me, it did. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, he did a good job.
But I agree with the Affleck thing. I wasn't a fan of it. I've never, I thought, well, fair enough. He's, you know what I mean? But it's like I said, and when I watched Justice League, I thought, yeah, all right. But it's not until I watched the Snyder cut, and I thought, yeah, actually, he does make a good Batman. So,
well, there's 94% of that film changed. 94% of that movie was changed. And I remember watching the Snyderverse, and I watched the black and white full cut version of it first, and I thought, if this had come out of the cinema, I mean, obviously, Snyder's family went through a lot of tragedy. You know, their oldest daughter hung herself right in the middle of that production. So the whole family was completely devastated. But Warner Brothers had spent hundreds of millions, and it had gone into its hundreds of millions more. They had to get this film out. I'm just glad that they gave him the gratitude and the honor to go back and finish this how he wanted to do it. Do you know what I mean?
With that one.
When you saw that Snyder cut of that film, it was beautiful. It was absolutely fantastic. Even the scene with all the Amazons on the horses firing them arrows was just mint, wasn't it? All fighting thing. It was great.
DTM, do you agree with that? All the actor really has to do, so what Palp says, is pull off the role of Bruce Wayne. That's a good point, that Stu. Do you not think?
You've got to play two roles, haven't you? So
yeah, because Batman, I suppose you put on the voice and you're covered, aren't you? But Bruce Wayne's probably the hardest one to do. What do you think?
Yeah, because Bruce Wayne's a mask of the Batman. So you've got to get a guy that you're going to believe for a start plays his character that does this. So it doesn't matter how square jawed you are, how good looking you are, how big or little you are. It matters is, do you have the look that I believe you go out at night and do all this stuff? And I think if you get that, then perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, Robert Pattinson's more of like an emo Batman. He's miserable, isn't he? He's in the dark. He puts his glasses on in the day. He don't want to know anyone. He's not the party guy yet. He's not the guy that puts on the Bruce Wayne persona and turns up at these mad parties and pretends he's had accidents in cars at some ski resort because some villains have battered him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
That sort of stuff, yeah.
to me, the thing about that was, I think he portrayed Bruce Wayne brilliantly because he is revenge, wasn't it? I mean, he could never get over his mum and dad dying, and I think the way Patterson played it, the emotion was there. I mean, I know there's that part with Keaton where he puts the 2 roses down, and they always show that back thing about, you know, his mum and dad being shot, but I think Robert Pattinson was the only one who actually truly showed that it affects him. It still does. Do you know what I mean? So,
I think for me the best thing is that when they introduced Ben Affleck as Batman, there was, like what Jono says, a big 50-50 controversy over that. Well, the difference with Matt Reeves and Patterson is that he went, "Here's your Batman. You can all fuck off." And that was basically it. And we all went, oh, right then. It wasn't like you had any choice. That's what his edge was basically. This is the guy playing. You don't like it, off you go. And there was none of this, oh, is he going to be a good Batman? And so I think we got on board because, again, it came out of nowhere, that announcement, didn't it? Nowhere. Robert Pattinson's Batman. We all went, what?
Yeah. Didn't expect that at all, did you?
No,
do you think
sometimes it goes good, doesn't it? Because it proved to be a good choice for me. This is a Batman that we're going to grow with. This is weird too. It's
so
going to go to the finish where, he's going to get older with this part, which is what I like.
Before we go on to any more questions, has anyone got anything Batman related they'd like to show? You had, didn't you, Stu? So
I have, yeah. So. So I've picked these up recently, and I just love these style of figures. So you've got Two-Face there, and then you've got the rest of the figures on the back. So
now, what line's this, Stu?
This is the DC Comics Designer Series, and this is Greg Capullo, as you can see at the bottom there. So he's pretty
cool. Them, Stu. They're really nice. Them. I'm a big collector of them.
And I've got another one really cool as well. And this is Mr. Freeze. I mean, how cool does he look?
Yeah, lovely.
They're great figures. Yeah.
And then you've got some great figures on the back. I mean, that Catwoman's not looking too bad either, to be honest. So, you know, it could be.
I own that Catwoman.
You do? Yeah. That's cool. And then.
I don't have that Mr. Freeze. No, that Mr. Freeze is really nice.
I've got the Robin from.
Is
it Batman Forever, isn't it? Yeah.
You got the 40-year-old Robin.
The Robin is that. And then I've got the Val Kilmer. So. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
I do have Two-Face and the Riddler, but I've not unboxed those yet. They're still in a box somewhere. So, and then I've just got this as well because we were on the subject earlier. But as soon as I watched the Penguin, I had to get him.
Yeah, mint.
Absolutely superb. And then I've just got one more, and then that'll be it. And I don't know what to do with this. I don't know whether to open it or keep it.
Oh no! Well, keep it closed.
I mean, look at that setup on the back, though. Look at that image on the back.
No need to open it. You've got a nice picture there, like me. You keep it nice and closed. I've kept that nice and closed ever since I got it to you. It looks lovely in that box. Look at that.
Let it breathe. Let it breathe.
Yeah.
Listen, open it at your peril. That's all I'll say. Open it at your peril.
It's funny that because me and DTM were at Joe Fest and G-Force, and we found that Batmobile McFarlane Batman 89 one. And we only wanted $60 for it. You know, I've left it. I've put it down there. I haven't even touched it. No, nothing.
That is an absolute great Batmobile.
Yeah, I should
for $60, that is worth picking up all day long.
With a Batman as well. Yeah.
Let's just go to G-Force while he's showing that a sec.
What's that? Oh, look. Oh, yeah. Look, I mean, that Poison Ivy is pretty cool.
Well, it's like you, Stu, when I watched your video and you got a nice present off Kieran Bull. Two of them figures are so rare to pick up. And you're like,
which ones? No! Which ones were rare?
The Batman with the Joker in the helmet, that's a really rare figure. And the Amiga Batman is even rarer.
And I've opened them.
Yeah.
Like I said, at your own peril.
PC'd up. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is an awesome.
That's a great display, Mark.
That is
Thank you. I don't think I have any more Batman stuff in here. I do have it in the other room.
I've got one of the two multiverse, but nothing major. But I've been buying those DC Superpower figures. That's what I've been buying. And them 66, I've got most of them. So yeah, I've loved that line.
Well, let me ask you, Mark, what was it about the Superpowers that you thought, I'm going to start picking these up?
Had them as kids, just loved them as kids. And then Scuba Pete got me the vintage Batmobile. So I thought, you know what, looking to them, and I asked Super Awesome, I said, how much is a vintage Batman? He goes, about $20, Shabby. He said, but with a cape, about $100. And I was like, what the France? I ain't spending. But then, as I got it, they were bringing out those superpowers. So I just like collecting them all, and they've been brilliant figures. I've loved them.
Our Captain Carrot's a rare figure now. And yet it's quite a new figure as well, and we just can't find it.
Sorry. Then we got this shelf's going to be hard to see because it's not lit.
Heavy Metal Batman, yeah.
I don't feel so bad now because Mark's opened Batman as well, so I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah, just go ahead and open it now, Stu. You're fine.
It's a nice gift off Kieran. Really nice gift off him.
Stu, I opened that Robin and whatchamacallit, Joker Who Laughs, and they're not the best figures, so leave those ones boxed.
Okay.
Jonathan, do you have anything to show my friend?
Well, I do. As I was saying earlier, I was putting up the Christmas decorations this week. So just rooting around the attic, and I forgot I had this. The original.
I love that book. It's such a dark book, and it's painted beautifully as well. Do you know what? I'll tell you a story about that, Jono. The first time I bought it, when it came, it was all in French.
Oh, look at the artwork in that. Who was the artist for that, Jonathan?
It's Dave McKean.
Right.
All done in pastel, the whole lot. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
Stunning. And I tell you what, as well, it's one grim story. This, isn't it? You really get involved in this book.
Oh, the story is pure madness. The colors just aren't showing up on the camera, but it's just so vibrant and in your face, especially whenever the Joker is talking and the crazy way they have the speech bubbles done from. It's light myself that I found this.
It's nice to see that that Catwoman poster that I drew behind you. That's awesome. The ages that to draw that. DTM, do you have anything to show my friend?
I have a couple of bits. I've got a. Nice. I don't even know where I got this.
That's really cool.
With a little
people back. I love that Batmobile.
Yeah.
Love that.
I can't remember where I got it, to be honest. I've had it years. But yeah, they come with little figures, and I've got the Val Kilmer Batman. But I weren't happy with the colour. Has anyone else took theirs out of the box? The colour.
So is it sort of bluish, silverish blue or something? I've heard.
It's a cracking looking figure, but there's something off about the colours of the costume.
But was he not like a silver and blue DTM in the movie?
I don't know why they've done that.
Didn't he get a different suit towards the ends that was some weird colour?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And you got Suicide Squad Batman with his diving mask on.
That's cool.
Yeah, quality. I like that.
And then just a few comics. Batman 89. I don't know if anyone's been reading this.
That's really
How's it been, Dave, that comic? Has it been
good? Yeah, I'm on the second lot now. They call it Echoes, Batman 89 Echoes. That's better than the first Batman 89 one. But I've picked most of these up. And some of the covers are nice.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. This is one of my favourite ones.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah,
that's a great cover.
Yeah. Bat symbol. Well, that's the Echoes one. I think this is a better story than the last one. I like that one there.
That's a great cover. That is.
His fists up. And Vicky Vale there. Look.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Vicky Vale.
And then I picked up all these when they came out, but it's still like they've done a Beetlejuice, Batman. So it's pretty good. But yeah.
Where's the Birdman in that? Should have a Birdman. Should have a Birdman as well.
Yeah, I do have them all. Yeah, but that's all I got. Just picked up a few bits.
When we were teens, Mark's girlfriend was called Vicky Vale, and I used to think it was the coolest thing in the world that his bird was called Vicky Vale.
Yeah,
Mark? You forgot the girl at school called Vicky Vale. Yeah.
He's reminiscing now. Look.
Did you go around teaching you a Bruce Wayne?
Sorry, Mark.
I'll be right back, lads. PGM, have you got anything to show, PGM?
Yeah, well, I did have, but I seem to lost the. No, don't show me because I don't have anything. But the thing is that
We've
I
been
lost
looking
the
at you
Yeah,
all
I
night.
do.
What
Oh,
are you
no, I
about?
don't.
Show you.
subscription to. I lost a subscription to Brony Man Land from Stu, but I'm glad I did because I don't really want to join. Right, so
Do you not? Why?
I don't know. I think it's
This
got
is
something
your
to
fault,
do-
Shabby. You know that, don't you? This is all because
I
of
think
you.
it's to do with some pornographic material that probably can't show, you know. So next time we have this next year, it'll be a sandwich on my knee.
Oh, I knew it. I knew one of you was going to bring that up. Do you know what I mean?
It's a skill
Georgie's
that
song. If you heard Georgie's sandwich on a knee song.
Oh no, when she put that post up, I cried laughing. That picture's like
On me, fish paste sandwich on my knee.
Unbelievable. Simon, do you have anything to show?
No.
Right.
I am Batman.
Connor Fuller says, question for the panel, Catwoman or Poison Ivy?
Well, I'd say for sexiness wise, it's got to be Poison Ivy, Annie. I mean,
Yeah.
she's been drawn. But for if you're in a fight wise, you want Catwoman with you. She kicks shit out of everybody in the room, wouldn't she? So you're like, but Poison Ivy, yeah.
Talking of Poison Ivy, did you pick that one up yet, Si? From, what's that company? Where I got mine from?
Could be Ricardo.
Oh, the Mayfair.
Mayfax.
Yeah. No, not yet. I haven't. No, funny enough, I haven't. And that's a beautiful figure.
That.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And guess what? I've
But the
unboxed
thing is,
it.
what's good about Mayfex, Stu, is they don't seem to disappear, do they? You can still get Mayfex figures. That's what's good about Mayfex. Yeah, they are. Yeah, and that Poison Ivy is a beautiful figure.
Yeah. That Bane was a nightmare to get together, put together. But then I looked online, and I know that I'm not the only one who's had trouble.
It's the worst ever build a figure to put together. That Bane was famously known as the worst ever. The legs never fitted. The arms always pop off. They say you have to use get it right
strength to put that thing together.
Cheers, Win. Great stream heading off. No, it's nice to see you, Our Luke. It's good to see you, buddy.
Cheers, mate.
Dave, that Batmobile would be perfect for a Playmobil Batman. Yeah, they've never done it. Playmobil. If they did that, I'd pick that up. Definitely.
Never done Playmobil.
No Batman at all. The 3 versions of the figure done with that model to show the evolution of that figure from prototype to production to retail. Wow. That continues from the movies. They did Superman also.
I've got the Superman ones too. Yeah, I've been keeping up.
Just another couple of questions I'd like to ask you before we end it. And the second question is like, out of all the Batman villains you'd love to see portrayed in a new Batman film, who would you like to see, and who would you like to see play them? Ooh. And again, that's to anyone.
Ooh, to think about that one.
Wow, that's a tough one.
I would go with Scarecrow in the Matt Reeves Batman Universe series with Peter Skarsgård as the Scarecrow.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah. I would say I'll go Poison Ivy in the Matt Reeves, but I have no idea who I would want to play her.
For me, I'd like to see Anna de Armas play a Mint Huntress. I'd love to see the Huntress properly in the Batman universe. Knowing that she comes from the Mafia families as well, I would love to see a Huntress played by her. That's what I'd like to see.
Or Jenny Ortega as Catwoman.
Jenny Ortega.
She's got a Catwoman face, hasn't she? Yeah.
Clayface is here. Professor, what is that? Professor what?
Pig.
Professor Pig would be a good one, but you'd have to go proper dark side and make an adult Batman for that.
John said he wants a proper Riddler with all the riddles and the psychotic nature. He has to have the question outfit. That'd be cool.
But who would play him, John? Who would you have play him? That's the thing. Man back Samuel L. Jackson's. Yeah. Kurt Norton.
I'd like to see Killer Croc. Like, I think he could be done really well. It would be CGI, though. That's the only thing.
What's that guy's name from The Boys? Kyle Urban? What's his name?
Kyle Urban,
Get him to play Lobo, maybe. He might be a little small, but Lobo would be cool. see Batman.
I don't want that guy to do anything until he gets his arse round and makes a new Dread movie. That's all I'm being bothered about. All Dread fans have been after a new Dread movie since we first saw that. And I still have been doing it. I'm disgusted. I really am.
I think it's got something to do with the rights, though. Sorry.
No, they didn't make enough money on the first one. They didn't advertise, and it came out the same, like pretty much within the same week as the Raid, and they're both pretty much kind of very similar movies. So Dread just suffered hugely.
I wonder if it's an international thing though, because I know where I'm from, Dread is big, but I mean, I suppose you've got to be a proper comic, like a Super Awesome will know Judge Dredd is and Thousand Skulls, but just people for pop culture, I don't think they're, like the normal people.
It's not that big in the US.
No,
it was two big movies. Like Sylvester Stallone played them.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Mark. I'd say if you're into franchise, you know exactly who Judge Dredd is. I think he's a comic book character, and again, 2 or 3 movies down the pipeline. I think you'd know who he was.
Kev said you, Si, would make an amazing Riddler. Piddler would make a good Piddler. I don't know about Riddler. Do you know what I mean? At his age, but
I'm just glad you didn't say Fiddler.
There we go. Pop says marketing was bad. Dread was only released in 3D.
I went to see Dread in 3D, and it was the greatest film I saw in 3D. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what her.
Amazing in 3D.
He's got a good point there. Jim Parsons, Sheldon from.
Sorry, Keith.
He'd make a good Riddler. Yeah, I suppose he would.
Interesting.
Did you like Jim Carrey as the Riddler, or was it too campy?
No. So
I did, but there was all that talk at the time that it was going to be Robin Williams, and I was really for that. I was really like, Robin Williams would be perfect for the Riddler. And then all of a sudden it was Jim Carrey, so I was like, all right.
Danny, all right. All right. What, Batman? Oh, here we go. Shabby and Psycho play the Batman villains Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
I think you meant Batman and Robin.
I'd like to see a new take on Mr. Freeze, just like a new Mr. Freeze. No Arnold Schwarzenegger time.
Oh no, bring Arnie back as Mr. Freeze. That'd be awesome.
Down in the dumps.
Has anyone on screen actually? Has anyone on screen actually portrayed a DC villain, like from the comics? Has anyone actually gone, you know what, that's a great job? Because I don't know, when you say things like Bane or the Riddler and all that sort of stuff, to me, because I'm not grown up reading these comics or reading these graphic novels. Would you say, is there anyone on screen that has portrayed it perfect, besides Heath Ledger? Because I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
Because Anne Hathaway, Catwoman, was perfect for me. It just reminded me of even the way she stood and the way she did everything. I was like, you would proper look into this character. You really are. Yeah. I don't think it's hard enough. I think it's hard to play Batman, but it's not hard. It's not 19 years, is it, of like experience and to learn from. It's not hard to get that character right.
Well, the reason I say is because, like I said, I remember the 66 Riddler in the film, and then obviously Jim Carrey, then obviously this new one, and I liked all 3 of them. But it's funny because I was just thinking to myself, did you like the Paul Dano Riddler in the new Batman movie? Was that as close to home?
I thought it was great. Because you like the Riddler, thin, little, glasses, nerdy. He's not supposed to be any big guy. He's just super clever. I mean. The reasons why all the people work for him is because they know we can plan a mission and get it to the T. So everyone works for him, but no one really likes him. They find him a dead strange guy, and I think he played that perfectly, Paul Dano. It's Paul Dano, isn't it? I've never seen him in anything bad, that lad, ever.
Yeah, it's a good actor, isn't
it? Yeah, really good. Well, to finish off, my last question to you is that we all remember, because of the age of us, I know we're all just over 28, but we all remember Batman 89 and remember what that time was like and how that film felt, and everywhere you went was that Batman symbol, and the queues outside cinemas, and it was in the schools when I was at school, and everybody just got carried away with Batman. Since then, we've had quite a few Batman films, but do you think we'll ever again get what we got in Batman 89, or do you think that was basically the George Lucas's Star Wars of it, that we got them, who were a mass success, and even though we try again, we will not hit that heights? Do you think a Batman film will ever get us up to 89 heights again?
No. I'm going to say no.
Say no, but I think
say yes.
movies like that, the timing and everything just has to be 100% perfect for it to hit and be a global smash hit where that bat symbol is in every store you go in. You know what I mean? Like, for it to be that giant of a success, I don't think it's that easy to do. So,
Was it the aura though around that, Cheetos? Because it was like The Force Awakens, whether you like that movie or not. The aura around it, all the merchandise. And remember, Batman '89. I don't think it was. I even picked the logo for it. I don't think there's a bigger merchandise, was there, than Batman '89? Everywhere, DTM, yeah. So you're looking at it from that point of view. The reason I say that is because I thoroughly loved that new Batman movie. I think it was, out of all of them, I think that was my favorite one. I loved it. I just thought it was so well done. And I like the way he portrayed it. But to me, it's probably better than the '89 one. I know it's hard to say, but if I'm looking back, which one I prefer to watch? But is it because the Batman '89, it was all the furor around it? You know what I mean? With the merchandise.
But again, the furor built up before that film had come out. And before the film had come out, we'd seen clips. It was in all the newspapers. Everyone's getting the Batman posters. We're buying the badges, the logos. The queues were massive. Then we went to see Batman '89. How come even Robert Pattinson's Batman hasn't built that up again? It's strange to me how films don't seem to have that same.
No, they don't.
Say the internet, Stu? Is the internet killed it?
Yeah. Well, the internet's to blame. I think fan expectations to blame as well. I'm like you. I don't feel that any movie this day and age, now today and times that we're living in, will ever be like a huge film. I mean, you get
that,
but there won't be that sort of like aura around it. Do you know what I mean? Like
to be fair, we were all 16 or so at that time.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, no,
so
I mean,
the
10
way
years
we're
ago,
looking at these movies in that time frame has a big part in it.
Well, I think the only time I've ever been through it again as an adult, grown adult, was The Force Awakens. Do you know what I mean? Because it was all the merchandise was out before the movie, the posters, the trailer was a year before, if you remember. That's the last time, though, 10 years ago that I.
Okay. Other than that, do people get really, really excited about movies these days?
Oh, that's
they
a
don't
good
promote
point.
them like
No.
they had to
They
back
did.
then.
They did for the Dark Knight.
Was there.
Yeah,
They
when the
needed
Dark
you to
Knight
get
came
into
out,
the theater.
that was crazy hype as well.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Yeah.
Again, the only time I can sort of remember anything rivaling that Batman, for me, my experience growing up for the cinema was Batman, and then it followed on with The Phantom Menace. And then after The Phantom Menace, apart from, like you said, The Force Awakens, because obviously Star Wars was back again, I agree with Stu. Has anything really hit that echelon of oh my God, it's coming and we all can't wait?
Well, Connor says here, side, Wolverine and Deadpool did it for him. It was probably the most highest movie. Super Awesome says Endgame, and that did have that. I forgot about Endgame.
But yeah, Stu's right. Stu's right in a sense, because is there the hype and the excitement for all these, to go to the film, because it's all streaming now.
That. There's nothing really new coming out, is there? Nothing really new. It's like
the IPs have changed from the stories have changed, but the IP still remains the same as Batman '89. Then you got Batman Matt Reeves, and you got Batman, all different iterations, but it's still same IP, right? So they're recreating a recreation of a recreation, but in a different way. So
and the thing
we also know we're going to get another Batman movie now. Like, we know the Batman 2 is coming. We know James Gunn is doing his version of a Batman movie. So Batman '89 came out of nowhere. I had the music that was huge, along with like Prince doing the soundtrack. And since then, we've gotten, the Nolan movies, we've gotten the Snyder movies, we've got the Reeves movies, we've got the Gunn movies, which are coming. People know that it's just going to be sequelitis, for want of a better word. We know these things are going to happen. So the hype, no matter how, maybe if the movie was amazing, like the best thing ever, the hype for the next one might be huge. But I don't think anything's ever going to top back then.
No, I think I agree with what you said. It's like the majority of our major movies, you do sequels, prequels, spins off. It's things we've already seen. So like what Stu said, it's very difficult to get like proper hyped about something.
And it is. And it's also, as Stu was saying, like with the internet, that that does spoil it, because news now is instantaneous. One of us hears something, and then within an hour we've posted it, so everyone has heard something.
That's
back then it was, you'd only learn bits of information here and there. Someone might see a magazine. It was
how we
literally,
found out,
you know,
right?
word of mouth, so to speak, or you might see a
Yeah.
special on TV, or eventually you'd see the trailer or something like that in the cinema. It's much
I think there's an
lower
oversaturation as well. There's an oversaturation. I mean, you look at
100%.
Star Wars, just too much of it.
Yeah.
You know, Marvel now are getting to that point. Endgame, yeah. I mean, John mentioned it. Super John, he mentioned it. It was a great film, and I think that was probably, you know, that was how many years ago was that now?
2019, wasn't it? Endgame.
2019, yeah. So that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And the world we live in now, and the way they're writing and ticking boxes, I wouldn't trust them to you know, with certain IPs to do the right thing. They just, it's all like these film studios that like, we need to hit this, we need to hit that, we need to hit that. And that's what I loved about the Penguin and DC. It was just absolutely spot on. They nailed it, absolutely nailed it. They didn't worry about wokeness. It was straight in there with the characters, and they kept true to how those characters were, and that's what did it. And if
the whole thing for me,
I
think my whole thing for me, Stu, is what you hit on the head. I'm all for progression. I'm all for this and all for that, but not in my fantasy escape. It's a form of escapism. Do you know what I mean?
No. Let me just stop you and just tell these boys this story, right? It's been a long time since a woman's spot Mark up, but once he saw that little sexy Italian in the Penguin, he's like that to me all the time. Oh my god! If you see that, she proper sparked you up, didn't she, Mark? You did like
I
her.
tell you what, I think what it is in a way. The thing is, you watch Harley Quinn in the movies, right? And they always go overboard with it. They always portray like, oh, I'm crazy. This woman actually played it without going overboard.
Yeah,
you could tell she was a nutter. Just the way she opened her eyes and the way she stared and the way but without going. And I've never seen a character like this for a long time. And it's funny because
I bet you haven't.
The thing about it, Simon, is she was just as big as I was looking forward to seeing her just as much as was to seeing the Penguin, if that makes sense. I loved her story arc.
Because I said to Mark, first show I watched it, Mark says, "Oh, what did you think?" And I'm like, "Here we go again. Same DC little mini petite female villain who's all off her fucking head and looks like she's come out of a nightclub at 4 o'clock." But I was totally wrong. And I agree with you, her character developed into this. Yeah, we know she's nutty. She's not portrayed on that. Like, Margot Robbie's a great Harley Quinn. That is not my Harley Quinn at all. It's nothing like my Harley Quinn. You know, this Harley Quinn where she's like Kate Moss with all this makeup run. Slap her. It's like, no, it doesn't work with me. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't wash. So you know, I understand people saying she's a great Harley Quinn. That's great, but for me, my personal opinion is she's not that Harley Quinn. And I thought Sophia was going to turn into that sort of role, noticing how much they changed the character. But I was totally wrong. She was really, really good.
I think it was a few of the characters like that. Was he called Victor or Hector, the young lad? His story arc was brilliant. The mother's story arc, Jono, was I loved it. Going back in time with his mum into that, the way they did it, where she was still old. Remember them in the nightclub, and I just thought this is so well done.
Well, the actress,
so well
done. Even the way that actress portrayed her, that 1 minute she's sharp as sharp and knows exactly what's going on. She's all plotting and planning with us, and then the next minute she's off in like Doolally land. Just
that has got to take some doing to do. That has got to take some acting.
I agree.
You know, I mean, PGM knows he's done acting and stuff like that. But when I was on stage, I did this the show called Rent, and that was an emotionally draining show. And to do that constantly for like 7-8 nights on the bounce, it gets you down as well. It drains you because you get attached to that character. So to be able to be what she was as normal, then all of a sudden just go into like a totally different kind of person, that's got to be draining.
But Stu, for you though, how you can do that with an audience watching night after night, not miss a beat, not miss a line, stay in character, that is one hell of a talent to do that. It really is. Because I would go out on that stage and I'd be like, hello, and I'd just freeze. You asked Mark what I was like giving a speech at his wedding. I would freeze, man. I'd be frightened to death. So how anyone for me can do that, do something like that for a couple of hours on end, I think it's so talented.
I felt sick every night. Every night.
It's a different beast. I mean, I agree what Stu said. It's a different beast. I mean, you have to be. You have to be on stage every night, on your cues, on your line cues, anywhere stage left, stage right, right. So, but you've got to be fresh every night. You've got to play it fresh every night. You've got to think to yourself, okay, I'm going on the stage. I'm going to have to, do this character fresh every night. That's your deal, right? You got to be there in the present. Plus, you got to feed off all the other actors as well. So it's a different beat.
Treading the boards is acting level, isn't it? When you tread them boards, that's when
it's not work. It's enjoyable. But you said earlier, asked about PGM and stuff like that. You dress up as a character and you hide behind that character. So you're not going out. I'm not going out as me. I'm going out as the character that I'm portraying. And you build from that because you wear the clothes and you become that character. So as back to my original point with the lady who played Oz's mum, that is some acting there to be able to turn off and on like he did. Was just
I agree.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I really do. I've got to be honest with you.
It comes down to the casting, doesn't it? It comes down to the casting. So she probably either auditioned and got the part because she read the lines verbatim now in the show, or she got asked to do that role without auditioning because that's who they were looking for. And that's what they were looking for because they were looking at her other performances and other projects. So that might. Wow. So yeah.
Can I just say we've got 5 minutes? I can't believe we've done this. I have thoroughly enjoyed this, lads. I love coming on here and talking to you because, like I say, I'm a DC fan. I like DC, but not like you boys. So for someone like me and probably someone in the chat to sit here and listen to your stories and your passion and how you talk about it, I've loved it. So thank all of you so much for. Simon sets these up every year. This is our 3rd one, and I learn something every year. So, and I can't believe we've got 5 minutes left. So I appreciate that, boys. Thanks for taking the time out and doing this. It's been awesome.
I appreciate the invite.
I just think it's a good subject to talk about because when it comes to the DC universe, there is no debate, there is no row, there is no people sticking up for a side of it because it's comic books. It's all thrown in. It's the same. There is no DC without Marvel. No, there isn't. You know what I mean? That doesn't work. You know what I mean? So, when it comes to this world of it all, it's a world of what we all love, what characters we can all get behind. And somewhere along the lines, in any DC comic book, there will be a character that you love. Somewhere along the lines, there's
it's just nice, I think for me, listening to you boys is like I said, because I've been more or less hosting and doing the chat, I've listened to you and every one of you has said something different about a different character, but portrayed like a joke has been portrayed differently. And none of you have argued. None of you have kicked off. None of you have thought my way is. And it's refreshing that to me that I can get a group of lads on here that can all listen to each other's opinions and go, you know what, I can see that instead of because I'm not going to go on about Star Wars. I'm not, but you hear about other franchises. Sometimes it's frustrating, isn't it? Because it's like everyone talks over each other to get the point across. And but in this, I enjoy this, all these different aspects of it. So yeah, I've loved it.
I just think Star Wars has just become so far from what we know of Star Wars. It's unrecognizable. That's the problem for me. That, whether you like it or not, that's not my issue. I don't care if you like Star Wars or you don't like it. My issue is for me, it's so far removed from what I actually understand as being Star Wars. I look at Batman today and it's still Bruce Wayne. He's still a guy in his 30s. He's still fighting crime. There's still the Penguin and the Joker and the Catwoman and everybody else thrown in. And like what the Russians say, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And that's the thing with Batman. It still works today because it's not been messed with that much. Yeah, a bit like how football is today. It's been going for 120 years. Things have been changed. Things have been tweaked. But underneath it all, it's still the same game. And I believe that is important for franchises that we love.
Well, that's what
franchises, the people that haven't got a clue about, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get a clue either. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he did it, didn't he? That new David Zaslav came in and said, this ain't working, let's start again. And I like that. I like the fact that they said, you know what I mean? It went the wrong way. We lost a few people. Let's bring it all back and we'll bring James Gunn in and we'll do it. And so, I like the fact that the studio themselves have said, let's keep, because it's
stop now.
DC's an old franchise, isn't it? How long's it been going for? DC years.
You could even say, other characters in this. Batman for 38, and Wonder Woman the year after. You basically, you were coming up to 90 years. Do you know what I mean? Started off as Action Comics, but we are coming up to 90 years. Next year will be the 87th year of Batman. 87 years. You know, in the next 3 years, that's in the public domain, the original Batman.
Yeah, it
Do you know
is.
what I mean? Great stories, isn't it? Great stories. It's all anybody asks for. When we watch fantasy, you could watch a film about a brick. If it's a great story, you'll be 100% behind that brick, and you want Brick 2 coming out. This is the whole point. It's just how it's written, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way, Cox. It's great to hear everybody, you know, little things here and there. So, yeah, I've loved it. And thanks for all the chat been ace, all the chat's been involved. So that's been brilliant. All right, so we're done. We're done for the 3rd year. So we'll see you all next year.
We'll be 50 years old next year as well. He'll be 50 years old next year.
So will I. So you can forget that, Lip, because I will be as well.
Hey, listen,
so if you know what to pick here, let's end this stream.
He looks good for 50 hours, Stu. He looks good. But anyway.
Oh, you wait till this comes off. But anyway, yeah.
So
that'll come off. It'll be 20. We'll all be like, who's it?
All right.
Almost as long as a Peter's Lord of the Rings story size. Take care, everyone. Before we go, we've got CSR tomorrow, but Stu's on Sunday. We're doing
Sunday,
Christmas, which I can't wait for.
Stu. He's on Sunday.
No, not that again.
You got anyone good on, Stu?
He's on Sunday.
We've got yourself, we've got DTM and Helen, we've got Shabby, we've got Jeff, we've got Anna, we've got Scooby, we've got Leslie and G-Force, and Mr. Grinch himself, Matt from Zero Hunter.
I tell you what, Jono, how fabulous does that sound, Jono? You're not going to miss that for anything, are you? You're going to watch that, definitely.
I've watched all the streams.
And you, G-Force, you'll be like, that just sounds amazing.
When I was way too early to starting Christmas streams. Not
G-Force is on it.
I'm going to watch a replay. I'm on
it. You're on, yeah. That's it. Can't wait for Sunday. Best show ever.
It's going to be fantastic.
PGM, have you got anything coming up?
No, just my lunch.
And he's had
what about you, G-Force? Have you got anything coming up, G-Force? You want to talk about?
Not anything specific, no. But I am glad Stu didn't kick off like he did with those long boys the other day.
I did not kick off. What? Unbelievable.
Yeah, well, yeah. If you want to watch Stu get really irate and kicking off, watch a long time ago. Season 3.
It was good. It was good. I watched it this morning, Martin and Adams. It was good.
Yeah,
with Adam and Stu.
Talking about streams, can I just ask G-Force a question? Have you got your van fixed? Because I noticed that somebody rear-ended you in your last video. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. No, I haven't gotten it fixed yet. It's
what time of year for that to happen? So always the same, and it gets to Christmas, always the same.
No, not this time of year. G-Plus has been rear-ended loads of times.
Wow.
I was there when Sergeant Slaughter and G-Plus got a bit close. You know what I mean? So,
using your horn, are you?
Here we go. PGM has lunch. New live stream spectacular, says our John. That's not bad. That sounds like a good one.
Coming 2025. PGM has lunch. First show, egg sandwiches. What's on the second show?
Stu's been handed a live ban for Martin. To tell you what, Stu, you, Stu, man.
I get it every night. Well, not like that.
I watched it, and I will tell you the truth. Like I told you, I thought you were right 100%. You know, you watch people's debates, you watch people's decisions, and I agree with you 100%. Everything you said, in my opinion, was dead right. It doesn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a good thing about it. It's just opinions. It's just opinions. Yeah. It's, you know, if people like it, then I don't mind that. It doesn't. You know, I'm okay with that. But you know, it's all about opinions at the end of the day.
I'm not saying Aaron Berry was wrong. I'm not saying the other two lads are wrong. But I just agreed with your side of it. You know, after the debates, I thought Stu's right here. He's right what he's saying. It doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. It is a children's television show. That's how it feels. That's how it comes across.
I'm not getting into this.
That fence sitting there is your best magic trick. Yes.
I know, John. Everything's my own opinion. I'm not asked. I'll say what it needs to be. It's my own opinion. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You know what I mean? But that's just the way I think of stuff. It's otherwise, if we all agree with like everything, wouldn't we? You know
no, that's true. That's true. Anyway. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. CSR. We'll see you on Stu's on Sunday, and we'll see you on Tub Thumpers on Wednesday. Say goodnight, everyone.
Yes, guys.